Yeah, I have a loud keyboard, and also the keyboard is close to the mic, so the mic picks it up a bunch. So we get good clickety clackety.
Oh, Mike, I said hi.
Mike, my brother, Mike. Oh, close to the mic. Gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm with you now. All right.
Wait, is your brother actually?
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
Because
I was
if I
like,
guessed that, that's hilarious.
muted, muted, muted. Excellent. Alrighty, we are live and firing away. Oh, oh, you had it up, so it was like doubling your feedback, doubling your audio and stuff on a
Yeah, I'll have to mute
delay.
this tab so that I can watch it and participate at the same time.
Yeah, that's probably for the best.
Because that's dedication, baby.
We'll we'll give the fans a minute to pop in here, and we'll just chill for a second. Wait, what?
I was going to ask, is Poppin a fan?
I like to think so. I like to think we're fans of each other. I'm certainly a
Yes,
fan of him.
because you said the fans are going to pop in.
Oh, to pop in.
I keep making
You're
I
you
keep
are
making
on it
terrible
for
puns.
no. You gotta your pun mind is locked in. I got no problem with that. Um, did I actually click go live? I did. Okay, good.
Yeah, we're live.
Okay, good. Because it's not showing live in OBS because I hit go live in actual YouTube Studio. But we're good. Excellent. We got Sly in. Ryan Powney is a name I don't recognize, but presumably that's a person we know.
I would assume so because I mean, who am I to know what people get on the YouTube recommended page?
Yeah, I don't think I have any just show up randos. I think it's all people I know. I'm not live.
Generally,
That's good to know. Thanks.
I think it says we are, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
no, we definitely are. That's the only way. That's the only way Keith could have.
Let me check
Keith could
something.
have known that. Yeah. What? We're gone for one season? No, it's because you. Ryan Powney is not a name I recognize. Because it's a Discord name. You have a Discord name. It's the name you chose, not the name you were given. Oh, it's red. Of course. All right. Duh. We do actually just have somebody that goes by Ryan. It just in my brain, Ryan's last name is O'Giggs, even though there's no reason for that to be true. It didn't even occur to me that his name might be something different. Seeing as I go by James Dalton Bell, my full legal
Uh,
name.
Sir, Mr. O'Giggs would like to speak with you. Who am I to know what my parents actually called me when I was born? I only know what they've called me since then. It could have been like, oh no, 3 days after I was born and just decided to spontaneously change it and forget that anything else had ever been my name. But it'd have to be a pretty awful name for that to happen.
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a no, that can't be your name. I mean, I know there are some countries where that's the case, where they can say, like, no, you can't name a child that. But,
Yeah, there are some names.
alrighty. We got a good little crew rolled in here. We got Keith. We got some rando named Ryan. We got Tsukaba. I saw Sly in here.
Didn't you
Doing all
just
right.
say you thought that was
No, I know
Rhino
it's
Gigs?
it's definitely Rhino Gates. Now I'm just messing with him.
Uh,
Yeah, now it's on purpose. Um,
you're just engaging in some
Methamphetamine rules in Australia. That's not true. I mean, it could be true. People are weird, but I don't know.
I mean, it could be worse.
Oh,
You could name a Cambodian child Pol Pot, but
yeah, that also seems in poor taste.
yeah.
Um, Alrighty. So we discussed, or at least I mentioned, maybe watching 2 weeks worth of matches and having a double length
Yeah,
episode, but that is not the
absolutely.
case. We're just doing week 4 matches. So I've got 3 for us to watch. Um, but I want to do some honorable mention stuff before watching some matches this time. I've mostly done honorable mention type stuff at the end,
Yeah.
but I want to do them at the beginning this time. Um, so good matches to watch this week. Honestly, most of them were pretty good. The Pop and Sam Scarf Mammoth it was pretty excellent. Um,
Hmm.
Braff versus Shadowfax. Turns out Hoodra is still good, and so is Compound Eyes plus a sleep move. As long as Braff keeps hitting Horn Drill, he's still got a chance at making playoffs. But as soon as those dice stop coming up sixes, I think it's game over for the Silly Seals. Um, what are the other good matches this week that we're not gonna watch?
I thought that
Jordan's
Fire
Vika
Falls is
Volt.
pretty good.
We're gonna watch Firefall, one of Firefall's games.
Uh,
Um, Jordan's Iron Ball Vika Volt is
yeah.
a pretty sweet build. So in my notes I've been calling out Smeargle Watch 2024 whenever there's you know whenever Dan or Steve uses a sweet Smeargle set.
Hmm.
And this week we've got Parting Shot, Dragon Tail, Misty Terrain, and Wide Guard on Steve's for against an Ursaluna uh,
And
was
another
excellent.
Smeagol right here.
Yeah. Yes. It's also gonna be in the Dan versus Kaba match that we're gonna watch. Your game 2, your protects and predicts, your switches and stuff were excellent. That's one to watch for like
Aw,
just like
thanks.
watch some good solid predicting happen. Particularly game 2, I think that was really on display in it was you versus LS
Yeah.
and uh, who else do I want to call out? Both games of Tux versus Bobby Bim were like an example of why Incineroar is like can be team glue. Um, we often talk about like, oh, it always sucks to pay so many points for Incineroar, and then it always feels
Yeah.
like it's like always a little underwhelming, or maybe not quite what you were hoping to get out of it. But
Can I
it
give you a hot
just,
take?
yeah,
I think Volcarona is just better than Incineroar.
interesting. I think so. I agree. That's a hot take. But mostly because I think they serve such different roles that it's kind of weird to directly compare them like that. But I can certainly see a case in the way that like you might say, um,
Volcarona is more versatile. It's faster, it's stronger. It's it's not as good at doing one specific thing, but it's got so many more things that it can do and can do extremely well. But I'm biased. I confess my bias.
Is it an anti-Incineroar bias or a pro Volcarona bias?
Both.
It's both. Fair enough. Um, so that whole match though, Tux versus Bobby Bim, is like Incineroar comes in and out. It debuffs Pokemon, just snarls, sits on the field, slows the game down, and lets you just do
Yeah.
what you want for multiple
Incineroar,
turns.
it's definitely a pain if it's used correctly.
Yeah, which it is much more reliable at doing in like ladder matches and in tournaments and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I think there's, when you're looking at a draft board or a match rather, the Incineroar, like the versatility of Incineroar is often not as relevant week to week because like
Bring
ideally
your
you want
yeah.
Pokemon that are like good at a thing for each of their slots, and then you bring it when that thing is good. So a jack of all trades kind of is not as great, but it was
Mhm.
an Incineroar lesson this week in that match.
I feel like Incineroar is exactly that. And Volcarona is the opposite. Do we see those two Pokemon in the opposite way? Like, Volcarona is a jack of all trades, master of none, and Incineroar is good at one thing and it knows what it does.
I would, I mean, maybe we do see them oppositely because like I would say Volcarona is like good typing, has Rage Powder, but can also be threatening.
Hmm.
Whereas I see Incineroar as solid support that can support in a lot of different ways and also has reasonable attack stats and
Yeah,
great typing.
that's true. I guess we should I guess we should probably get onto the games
Yeah,
because
yeah, totally. Yeah,
I
totally. But
I
yeah,
see a Medicham.
yeah,
I see a Medicham and I'm hyped.
yeah. We're going to watch the all dark
It's
team
also an interesting, yeah. It's an
versus
interesting
Dan.
choice to bring. You're bringing two ghost types into the mono dark team.
Yeah, so Dan has been mostly a pretty like standard to standard-ish like speed, like get speed with either like Sand plus Houndstone or like Talonflame, Tailwind plus a strong attacker. Maybe do something good with Smeargle, a little bit of fake out from a Medicham, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Um, this this set was Terra Fairy Tyranitar as a basically unkillable monster. On Sukaba just did not have answers once it was no longer a rock type, right? Like he had um, the
Did you not have
uh,
Iron Head on the King Gambit?
I guess there was still a steel move on King Gambit, right? So, and I think in game two the King Gambit hits the Tyranitar, but even then, like it's so strong and it just
Yeah.
wasn't enough to kill it. But you have like a ground move off of the Crocodile and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and fire up this match, and we'll talk about it as it goes.
Yeah.
So we got the Smeargle and Tyranitar, and at this point, this is game three. So Sukaba has seen the Terra Fairy, and has seen the Decorate from Smeargle as well from game two. They make a not great trade, right? Like you kind of want your Spiritomb more than you need the Smeargle after it's decorated.
Yeah, the Tyranitar is just. What do you do at this point?
Yeah, I love the low kick here. It's a nice, if it had not terred, that's a that's a 4x attack there. Um,
How much does Terra Blast do?
um, Probably not as much because so low kick is what base Well, it's based on weight, but
120 into King Gambit.
it's yeah. So with a times four versus the Terra Blast base 80 times
And it's
two,
neutral.
yeah, or yeah, I guess it's neutral, not times two, yeah. So not surprising that that Dan goes for that low kick with the Terra flying. You know,
Versus the
it's
Terra.
yeah probably yeah worth spending that Terra there, but instantly like even with Sukaba knowing this Terra Fairy plus the Decorate is likely to come in this third game, just already like not really having great answers for it. Dan gets the Tailwind
Yeah.
up, and yeah, missing
Oh,
the Stone Edge is brutal, but
oh.
don't run
I
Stone
felt
Edge if you don't want to miss.
I felt that in my soul.
Yeah, and then a two-hit Water Shuriken, also rough. Lets the Talonflame just keep spreading burns, and
Uh,
Tyranitar gets a second
I'm
KO.
sorry.
Iron Head.
I'm sorry, Sukaba.
Yeah, so even if the even if the King Gambit wasn't burned, we're still only looking at 80-ish% from an Iron Head.
Yeah.
So Tyranitar, my beloved, still
No.
good in 2024. And Dan's more or less already in cleanup mode, right? Just neuter any potential offense from these Pokemon. The Talonflame
Mhm.
now gets to sit around for another turn.
Burning stuff.
Yeah. And just
No,
brave
nothing beats
bird something
Tyranitar.
on the way out. And yeah, nothing's gonna come close to this Tyranitar. Get a double KO. That's 4 kills for Tyranitar in 5 turns. Didn't even run out of Tailwind or Sandstorm on that one. Well done to Dan,
Tyranitar.
and well done to
Tyranitar
Tyranitar.
is good. It's good, and it's always been good, and it will probably always be good.
Except for all those times when it's actually not very good, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But in my heart, at least, in my heart, it's always good.
Tyranitar, my beloved.
Yeah, absolutely. That's been my favorite ever since I was playing Gold and Silver back in what that would have been, what, 97, 96, something like that.
Silver
When
is
did that
still
come
free.
out? The what?
Never mind.
No. Um, but yeah, well done to Dan. A rough one for
Yeah.
Sakaba, right? Like it just had lots of ways to deal with it, right? You had Metacham is a problem for a lot of these mons, right?
Metacham's always a
Just
problem.
strong attackers in Tailwind can be a problem for some of these frailer Pokemon.
Hmm.
Lots of physical attackers from Sakaba is kind of rough with the bulky Pokemon that he's got, right? Tyranitar, pretty
Yeah.
bulky. Skeletor's pretty bulky. Talonflame, always a little more bulky than you think it is. Like it's always a little surprising what kind of hits Talonflame can take. You know, from non
Because it
four
usually
X.
invests in defenses.
Right. It's off,
You're
but just in. I mean, maybe this isn't true for you, but definitely for me, in my mind, Talonflame is frailer than it is in reality.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Actually, that's a weird phenomenon that I noticed with a lot of Pokemon, and I think it's because speed gives you bulk, basically. If you can afford to invest less EVs in speed creeping something, it means that either you're going to be able to invest more in your offenses or more in your bulk. And Talonflame's almost always going to put it in bulk, right?
Yeah, sure. That's a good way to look at it, right? Natural speed allows for more bulk.
Hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? Because you got more. You just have EVs left over that you don't need as often. So yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, Talonflame bulkier than you think it is, particularly when it against a bunch of physical attackers that have been burned, right? Then it just doesn't die.
Absolutely.
Alrighty. So we got a second game here. This is Spinnerack versus J Star. This is
I
game
think
one of this set.
this is where the primate. I'm not going. I think this is the primate one.
This is the P2 one. Primate becomes much better in games 2 and 3, but just keep your eyes on the Porygon 2 here. I like this game one setup from J Star, which is why I wanted to highlight it. Right, we get the Aroma
Mhm.
Veil, Alchemy decorates, and we get the Trick Room set up. Super
Uh,
safe turn one. Porygon got a lucky download boost, but even if it hadn't, right, it's still at +2, and so
mhm.
it
Uh,
particularly against what's here, right? Terra Blast is a perfectly reasonable move to be using. The Alchemy basically already done its job, so anything it gets to do at this point is just bonus. This is a really solid game one lead that ends up really paying off very well for J Star. Just big hits, do some more decorating. Alchemy dies, but that's fine.
uh,
Bring in a second attacker at this point, something else that can
freeze. You
take
don't
care of
freeze.
the trick room. Yeah, no freeze is nice. Um, Spinnerack doing some protecting. We see the brick break, but yeah, Terra Blast at +5 uh, is gonna kill a lot of stuff. Terra Flying here, get rid of that Aurora Veil is nice, and then Terra Blast still doing 30% to a steal with Terra Flying. Turns out 2 decorates is
Can I
very
give some
good.
advice for fighting Porygons?
Yes.
I noticed that I might have to check the stats exactly here, but if you on the Ninetales Alola and the Overquill,
Mm-hmm.
uninvested, the okay, it's a difference of 40 for the over. No, it's a difference of 30 for the Overquill, and it's a difference of 25 for the Ninetales in terms of their raw stats uninvested between their two defensive stats. So generally, when you're fighting something like a Genesect or one of the Porygons, you want to invest specifically in such a way that your most likely lead is going to not give the download boost
Oh,
because
sure,
it's
yeah.
completely preventable.
So
Sorry.
no, I agree. Like that is something that you can totally take into account. I think download is weird though because it
This
like is
situation.
also looking at the Pokemon in back, right? It's like the average of all four you
Mhm.
brought, I think. Um, and it also has to do with the Pokemon that are alive when the Porygon 2 comes in and it gets the download one way or another. So I gave up on trying to care about that, but you are correct. Like try like if you've got the mental, space to hold that in your brain, you definitely should try to. In this case, because I mean, we got the 2 decorates. I don't know how much that extra point five, that fifth boost is super relevant,
Yeah.
but it's not none relevant. You're totally right.
It's the average of the two Pokemon that are led on the field.
Okay, so
So
it is just the ones that are on the field.
yeah,
So it's a little more controllable than,
can't stop it from decorating though.
yeah. Well, there is that.
I think I think that's where most of the power is coming from.
Yeah, definitely. This is Alchemy likes to decorate and die. Stall a little bit of Trick Room here, but Eviolite showing off why it's such a good item, and Heat Wave showing
Mhm.
off that 5% miss. Uh, and
Thank you,
then,
Blinded Sage.
yeah, it's basically done at this point, right? Like, getting that recover and then
I
yeah, just
I used to
Dunzo.
sorry.
No, go for it.
I used to call I used to call my Volcarona blind just because it missed heat waves so often. There was this whole lore about how blind my Volcarona is. Just because it double missed two heat waves in a row and lost me a set.
Ugh, miserable. I hate that. Because it's still the right choice, right? Like it's still the right thing to do.
Yeah,
Like Heat Wave is a good move. It's only missing that's only a 1 in 20. It's
yeah.
generally not that big of a deal. And so then when it does miss anyway, you're just like, oh, should have
It's
read
a
flamethrower.
4%.
Yeah. Um, so J Star wins this game one.
Yeah.
I think smartly does not do much adjusting for game two. Right, leads the Alchemy and Porygon 2 again with the Decidueye, and then Clefable as the fourth in the back. Spinarak adjusts to a Primate Frostlass lead and manages to sort of take the initiative and then win that game two. Game three, I think J Star probably should have adjusted instead of just running back the same four again. I think maybe bringing the Dragapult in for game three, knowing that Spinarak was likely to have that Primate as a
Yeah.
primary offensive piece, uh, could have maybe given J Star some better switches or something like that. But this game one, you know, surprise, Decorate is good, Eviolite is good, and
Mirror is good.
and yeah, something like a mirror could have been pretty sweet here. You know, like you don't
On either
necessarily.
team, really?
Yeah, true, because the Volcarona did Quiver Dance, um, but yeah, so Spinarak does turn this one around and then
Hmm.
win games two and three. Well done to Spinarak, great adjustments, um, and yeah, a solid plan for J Star, but I think probably left some like match equity on the table by not being more flexible particularly in game three.
What was this plan to stop Trick Room from going up?
Spinarak's plan, I
Yeah.
mostly just you're gonna spend your turn setting up Trick Room, and I'm gonna spend my turn killing your Pokemon. Is mostly where Spinarak was at there in
Yeah.
those later games. Yeah, boosted up the Primate to +4, or yeah, to +6 to 4x, and then just started wrecking with the Primate while J Star was spinning wheels on turn one there with the Trick Room and the Decorate. Alrighty, we got one last one we're gonna watch here. This is Fire Falls versus Poosp, game
Ooh.
game one here. So
Yeah.
I would say
This.
overall, I have been pretty down on the Bears this season, or the Ursalumas, both Blood Moon and uh,
Hmm.
original flavor. Um,
Bears.
Mostly because I find them they extremely position dependent, right? You gotta they gotta be in at the right time with good speed control, either Trick Room or Tail, something that allows the Bears to do their job, and preferably with some kind of boost, right? Whether that's a burn on Guts or Saluna, or a throat spray after a hyper voice on Blood Moon, something like that, right?
Bears
And
are from Chicago. Take that as you will.
and it's like kind of tough to do, right? It is very easy to have to bring in an Ursaluna when you don't really want to, and then on that first turn it's taken 40%, and then the next turn you gotta wait another turn for it to really be good, or you don't have the speed control you want, something like that. This game is not an example of that. This game is an example of when
Why it's
Ursaluna
22
is
points.
yeah, exactly why it's 22 points. When Ursaluna is in position, it is scary. And in fact, I think we're going to watch it from Poop's perspective so we can also be scared. Because it's scary here. So we get the slow boat and the Meowstic in.
It's like I'm watching someone stream a horror game, but worse, lower quality.
And I like this lead because they both threaten the trick room, right? So Poos kind of has to be like, I gotta either guess right or not care about the trick room. And it turns out splitting the damage kind of gets you mostly nowhere on this one, right? So the Meowstic sets the trick room, and then on this turn 2 sets Psychic Terrain, allowing Slowbro to attack. Both Pokemon die, but Firefall pretty much doesn't care.
The situation's looking bad, except for the fact that you have a Bear of the Apocalypse, and it doesn't care about anything in the world.
And not only that, you Firefall's also got to bring in Magmar, which these physical attackers do not want to get Follow Meat into this flame body. They're gonna get burned. The Mamoswine basically dead at this point.
30% of the time, it happens all the time.
Sure, but with a Follow Me, that's two 30%. So that's your 49% to burn one of the two if you don't care which one. And then no, that is how the math works out. If in the independent events there, if all you care about is at least one of two, that happens 49% of the time on a 30%.
Doesn't it not happen 49%
No,
of the time?
Doesn't happen 51% of the time. But regardless, that's not really the point.
Because it's 21. It's 20. Sorry, we're getting into semantics.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's essentially a coin flip, right? Something's getting burned half the time, which is great. Nothing is really gonna is super likely to kill this Ursaluna Blood Moon because you've got this very reliable Follow Me next to you. So you're gonna get you've got multiple turns of Trick Room. You're gonna get your Throat Spray boost, and then the Ursaluna is a real scary situation to be against.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what we see, right? We see a Follow Me, we see a Hyper Voice, we get the Throat Spray boost, the Mamo dies. Turns out the Goodra mostly doesn't care about a burn, with it being mixed here. We could at least use our Ice Beams, although it did Terra out of ground type, right? So it doesn't care about a Terra Water. It doesn't really care about an Ice Beam that much. Gastrodon Surfs, probably not a huge deal, or Ice Beam, Muddy Water, whatever potentially
Muddy Water
super effective move the Gastrodon is likely to have.
The problem is that Muddy Water is going to drop the accuracy and then it's going to miss. That's how it happens. or not.
Yeah. And so we've just got this Ursaluna in position. We're in Trick Room. We've got the speed control we want. We've got the good support next to it of a Follow Me, helping hand here at the end. Maybe Poos stalls with a Protect here on that final turn, right? We didn't see any of the moves that Rotom had. Maybe it doesn't have Protect, but we know the Goodra does. So maybe we get out of Trick Room. Things are still looking a little better for Poosp here, but it's still rough, right? The Magmar basically still at full health. If Firefall feels threatened at all, can just start clicking Follow Me for forever. We've seen no spread moves out of any Pokemon, and the Ursaluna gonna just get to do basically whatever it wants. So, 22 points. It's worth it, but you got to be able You got to keep your bear in position. None of this switch in on an unexpected KO, take 40% to a neutral hit. Now you're going third out of 4 Pokemon nonsense that we've been seeing so far this season. Bring it in on a Trick Room, under Tailwind, something.
Click the funny normal button and watch your opponent evaporate, basically.
Give a nice stiff salute and a firm handshake to your opponent, and it's GG. Game 2. Ready up.
Yeah.
Alrighty, that will do it for the battles for this week. The 2 battles that got played today, Heaven versus Bohm, and what was the other one that happened earlier today, were both also fun battles. The other one, Slushy versus Sora, also a fun match to watch.
Slushy versus Sora, I was there.
Yeah, I saw you popped in live, yeah.
A lot.
Go ahead.
I'm really scared of that Palafin man. I faced that thing this week, and I don't know what I'm gonna do about it.
Yeah, Palafin has
650 DST.
It's mostly been kind of dunked on in our league over the last couple seasons. You know, since we started using it in Scarlet Violet. But you know, Slushy saying, "Hey, it's actually good, guys. Just skill diff." You know, turns out when you're good at Pokemon, you can use Pokemon well. And if anyone around here is good at Pokemon, it's Slushy. Oh.
Pokemon's team context, I feel, has a huge role to play in how effective it can be. That's like the biggest thing.
Definitely, 100%. Which is, you know, that's kind of what we're talking about with like Ursaluna and with the, you know, with the Porygon, a little bit with the
on the Mono Water team isn't
Tyranitar as well.
Palafin on Mono Water isn't going to be nearly as strong as Palafin paired with a Moongus and Arcanine.
Definitely. For sure. Alrighty. You got any parting words of wisdom for the fans, Weasley?
I could try to make another joke or give you another pun. But you see...
If you got one loaded, fire it at me. I love a pun. No joke. I mean,
for this
puns
week,
are jokes.
and for the next week, I guess I could say it's Snover. And then leave the battle.
Snover. Alrighty.
Jordan will get that one.
Thank you to you for hanging out, joining me. Thanks to the fans, the true real ones. The real ones, Sam, Sly, Keith,
Bez.
Ryan, Tsukaba. Did I miss anybody? That's everybody that said anything. All the people that are going to watch it later. We love you very much. And peace.
Stay safe. Look after yourself. Okay?
There you go. You heard it. Because?
Catch you later.
Catch you later. Alrighty.
Because we aren't gonna be able to do it for you sometimes, okay?
There you go. You heard it. Rock and roll. Alright. Thanks, Weasley. Enjoy your night.
You too. Have a great night.
Alright. We are no longer live. Thanks a lot, man. That was fun.